Please don't forget the money, man.
All my blessings, 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 all my blessings.
I need my blessings every penny, daily counting every single one, I'm seeing plenty.
Boston Celtics, title number 18. The inevitable happened the other night. And we have our new champions. For the first time since 2008, the Celtics are back on top, and finally, Brown and Tatum have a title here. So we open up the game, Gafford starting over Lively at the center position, despite Lively playing quite well the other night, both of them. Usually when it's going well for the Mavericks, both Gafford and Lively are playing well. When it's not going well, neither one is playing particularly effectively. So Gafford over Lively to start the game. We had no Porzingis to start off. Holiday had quick 6 points attacking the paint. Got things going there for the Celtics. And the Mavs started 1 for 8 as Brown and Horford really just started picking up Luka there right around half court, forced some high pick and rolls and some screen actions for Luka early, and high just coming off midcourt there and just really screwed him up early and often through this game here. Green checked in after the first timeout, hit a couple threes. He was effective for them off of the bench. Of course, that didn't matter as they got blown out in the game. Porzingis did eventually check in, 6 minutes to play in the first. He looks pretty bad. Turns out now he's going to have surgery. Looks maybe 70%, just a step slow. He did take a 3-point shot. He was setting up in the action, setting screens, pick and rolls, that kind of thing, but did contest a shot. It looked just very slow, like when someone comes out in NBA 2K and is just already not at 100% energy, so you're not getting the full speed bursts out of them, but maybe 70%. So it's pretty clear he probably wouldn't have been able to play at all in Game 4. So just kind of the Boston Celtics playing cat and mouse with his actual injury status there. Good thing they were able to put this game away. Finals never really in doubt here. Celtics able to end on a nice little run in the first quarter. 9-0 run with about a minute there as Tatum started to get going. He had 9 assists in the first half, but 28-22 after the 9-0 run there at the end of the first quarter. And just the turnovers from Luka trying to pass out to the corners once he was double teamed and had the pressure and the long bodies, whether it was Porzingis or Tatum. I believe it was the other white kid for the Celtics there, Hauser. They got in there and deflected a pass too, but just those long bodies causing a disruption in the passing lanes and trying to get out to those corners as Luka started having ball handling problems. Just a great job by the Celtics to just get right in his jersey. And they started to pick him up at 3/4 court going into the second quarter as well there. Didn't get any better in the second, and as the game progressed, Kyrie and Doncic, 14 points, combined 6 for 18 in the first half altogether. Derek Jones Jr. was actually the leading scorer with 10 points. Green had 3 threes for 9 points. They're shooting 48% from overall in the first half. So, you're like 48%. They should be doing a pretty good job there. But just the pressure. They had 8 fewer shot attempts overall at the half. And it's just the disruption to the star players not being able to hit the critical shots there from Luka and Kyrie Irving. And scoring in the paint became a big problem as well for them. Shooting 52% from the field were the Boston Celtics as they started to cook a little bit there. Again, 9 assists at the half from Jason Tatum, and they were shooting 47% from 3, 8-2 turnover advantage for Boston. Points in the paint, 30-24 Boston's way. Of course, that was a tremendous advantage the other direction for the Mavs in their win in Game 4, and the rebound advantage was 23-16 Boston's way as well at the half. Tatum knocked down his first 3-pointer of the game just before the buzzer there. He had 16 points total, and 4 rebounds. Celtics were 7 for 11 from 3 in the second quarter as the Mavericks worked to shut down the paint there. That was accessible early in the game for the Celtics. So the Mavs just couldn't protect everything there. Third quarter, again, taking fewer notes at this point, but we started to see the game slip away. Exhausting stalemate. So I think it was 21-19 was the Mavericks scoring edge here. But the halftime lead was 22 points, something like that, Boston's way. 21 points Boston's way. So we knew it was already, fallen out of reach for the Mavericks here. They looked very tired. Boston actually only scored 39 points in the second half after scoring 39 points in the second quarter. So they really just kind of let off the gas altogether as they eased towards the title there. And just a big win here. Fourth quarter was kind of rudimentary. Another 21 points for Dallas. They scored 42 total points, and it was 39 points for the Celtics in the second half. So just not a lot going on. Two exhausted teams. 106-88 was the final. We, of course, did see Kyrie Irving going around shaking everyone's hand with about 3-4 minutes left to go, but we really knew, even halfway through the fourth quarter, that this one was for sure in the bag for the Boston Celtics. Overall, the Mavericks shot almost 45% from the field, less than 30% from 3, but they were 11 for 37, so they hucked quite a few up there. And only 53% from the line, though. We did have P.J. Washington, who went 0 for 5 from 3, which was a problem. 4 points there. 6 points from Gafford. Lively only had 2 points off the bench in 24 minutes. Green had 14. He was 4 for 6 from 3. Derek Jones had 10. The 10 he had at half. And Irving had 15. He finished 5 for 16 from the field, 3 for 9 from 3. Luka Doncic ended up with 28, but he was doing a lot of iso ball stuff, just chucking balls up in the last couple quarters and quarter and a half there. 28 points, 12 rebounds, 5 assists, 3 steals, 7 turnovers at the end of the game, 12 for 25 shooting. But again, negative 19 overall, plus minus. Only P.J. Washington at minus 26 was worse in the plus minus evaluation. Boston Celtics actually shot worse, 42% from the field. Just a touch better on threes, 33%, but they hit a couple more threes, 13 for 39. 85% from the field on a few more attempts there. They were just a better team, and we knew that all the way through the finals, right? Tatum was 11 for 24, only 1 for 7 from 3. That hit one before half. 31 points, 11 assists, 8 rebounds, 2 steals. And he was not MVP. That went to Jaylen Brown, who had 21 points, 8 rebounds, 6 assists, 2 steals, 2 for 9 the other night, 7 for 23 overall. But he won MVP. And we knew him and Holiday were going to be the two that were kind of in contention for that trophy based on their overall impact, despite kind of hit and miss games for everyone up and down this roster. Holiday was 7 for 14 the other night. He had 15 points, 11 rebounds. 4 of them were offensive rebounds, 4 assists, 9 for Horford, 9 rebounds as well, and 14 points for Derek White, 8 rebounds there, and a block, big block, and maybe out a couple teeth as well, as he got rolled over by Derek Lively in the fourth quarter, I believe. Maybe it was the third quarter. I paid less attention in the fourth quarter, so it was probably the third quarter, but just a big performance by all the starters all the way around there. Hauser hit a couple buckets. Porzingis only ended up with 16 minutes logged, 5 points on a board in limited time, and a triple for Pritchard as they put him in again just before half, and he banged one in at the buzzer. Second time he's done that just before half in the series. So it'll be interesting to see how if he's able to hit any more of those in his career. Just a fun little trinket, little token thing that he does there. Able to hit those big half-court shots. So it was a great run for the Dallas Mavericks. They were 50-32 in the regular season, of course, made it to the finals here as technically a 4 seed, although that was the competitive competitive conference there. Big wins over both the Thunder and the Timberwolves in order to make it to the finals here. Neither one of those went 7 games. What was their playoff record here? 13-9 overall. And the series win to open over the Clippers is nothing to scoff at either, even though Kawhi Leonard played, 1 game in that whole series, which is tough. So altogether, that run there, Clippers, Thunder, T-Wolves, and then the tough loss to a very good Clippers team, Celtics team. Not a bad run for Luka Doncic and gang there. They'll have decisions to make, of course, on their roster moving forward. That'll be a discussion for another time, but have to make some probably big moves there. Washington, they probably won't be able to bring Daniel Jones Jr. back. He's on a minimum contract. Not that he was particularly effective anyways once it got to this point, the finals. BJ Washington will probably be back. Irving will be back. So will the Gafford and Lively combo. They may have to figure out how to move off the contracts of Tim Hardaway Jr., who's making almost $18 million, I believe, the third highest paid player on the team. Maybe Max Akliba, who's 6th highest player at $11 million, if they want to make any upgrades. Otherwise, they're pretty shoved up against the cap there, even with new TV money coming in soon. There's, of course, going to be stricter penalties for being over the cap with the new CBA arrangements coming in. So hopefully we'll see them at least in contention in more upcoming years with Luka Doncic in play. We don't want to see superstar talent wasted, but we have superstars all over the Western Conference. Celtics now, 18-5 in finals history all time. Lakers 17-15, so many more finals appearances, but this one puts the Celtics one ahead as far as championships for the Lakers. 107 playoff games for Tatum and Jaylen Brown. That's a lot. And this was a big championship for them to get that monkey off their back, so to say. Not sure either one is quite a superstar yet. And there's going to be a question about whether this is a new Celtics era. And that's fair to ask. Or dynasty. It might be another verb used, other noun, I suppose. And that's going to be a discussion worth having. We have the 11 Celtics titles during the 50s and 60s, the Red Auerbach era, and the 2 years they won with Bill Russell as a player coach. So those 11 titles with Bill Russell. There were 2 titles in the 70s with Tom Heinsohn at coach, and John Havlicek, of course, the legend there. Paul Silas, JoJo White. 2 during the 70s there. 3 during the 80s, the Larry Bird era. Robert Parrish, Kevin McHale. Nate Archibald was there during the first one, but those are the Larry Bird titles. And then the 08 standalone title with the big 3, putting those Paul Pierce, Ray Allen, and Kevin Garnett together in their primes for a title, where they battled the Los Angeles Lakers, of course, for a couple of seasons there, right? In 08 and 2010, where they came up short. Doc Rivers. And then this one, the 24 title, the Tatum Brown title, which doesn't quite have a better name yet. Maybe it'll go down as the Brad Stevens, Tatum Brown era. Jason Jalen something. Needs a clever name. And they've had 2 appearances now. But this is certainly a core, with those 2 both being, I'd say, under their prime year. They like to say players under 25 is a good barometer, but since 27 is really considered the prime for basketball players, I have 2 players under 27 haven't hit their peak yet, and Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, 2 players are talking about breaking up not that long ago, and some nice core pieces around them, even though Holiday is getting older and Porzingis is as well and banged up. It's possible that we have an opportunity for more titles from this particular team, especially since all of these guys were drafted with picks that were acquired from moving pieces of the original Big 3 and picking up free agents and making appropriate. None of these pieces were drafted with designated Celtics picks. They're well orchestrated moves. So a lot of history here, and just have to wonder if this is truly moving from one dynasty, the 08 Big Three, into the next here. Whatever the name is going to be for this 2020 run, possibly. That's a fair conversation to have. Because right now, with the standalone title, we have the legendary How the Team Was Built, with the Bill Russell dynasty, into the John Havlicek dynasty, into the Larry Bird dynasty, into the Big Three title, and now we have the 2024 team. So what is going to be next for the mighty Boston Celtics? Al Horford finally gets a title after 17 years, so it's possible that he retires. Played high school basketball at Grand Ledge, not far from where I'm from. Back-to-back college titles at Florida University. Finally was part of the great Hawks teams over a decade ago, Atlanta Hawks teams. And now a second time around with the Boston Celtics and finally wins a championship. So he may be gone, but the Celtics return their starting five next season. Fourth episode of Season 4 of The Boys just dropped. That puts us at halfway through the season already here. And it wasn't an episode with a lot of big things happening. Just a lot of events to kind of propel us forward into the back half of the season here. And a lot of our stories were kind of centered around three of our main characters here: Homelander, Annie/Starlight, and Huey. So our episode starts with the Homelander picking up his previous ending of going back to his past and going back to the old lab and some of his old colleagues that had locked him up previously in his youth and experimented on him, and tormenting those folks throughout the episode. Of course, initially he takes these folks a cake. I thought there's going to be something in this cake, as most folks probably did, something gross or really disturbing, and that apparently is not the case. Of course, he does eventually kill all of these folks, but first he does ask for a Barbara, who we later learn is someone that did a lot of experimenting on him. But first, he takes his time tormenting a couple of the well-known gentlemen that tortured him when he was in his youth. Squirts, who made fun of him when he was ejaculating, and when he was locked in one of these rooms that he was being experimented in. And it was one of the few moments that he had alone time until this scientist walked in on him, and he got the nickname. So we see him in another new crude act of violence. Of course, laser beam right through his crotch there. And we also see another man get burned to death after reliving a kind of like a Kobe shot. He discusses how he remembers the man placing Homelander. He doesn't allow them to call him by his name, John. Homelander in basically a big oven and testing his skin, whether his skin would burn or not. And while he's doing that, this man is just throwing things in a garbage can like he's a NBA player back there, and that's a memory that sticks with him. So while he's shooting into a basket, throws this guy into the oven and cooks him up. So this Barbara, we learn, is a major player in his past, one of the key folks that experimented on him, and she stated to Homelander, "We never really had any control for you. You could have left at any time," which is an interesting little factoid. And she explained that he actually killed his mother. He wasn't technically birthed. He shot out of her and killed her when he was a child, still in the womb. So that's another creepy little twist in the Homelander saga, that he was that strange, that messed up, that powerful from the very beginning. And as they began experimenting on him, she stated that his need to be loved probably is what kept him captured, because they never really had any command over him and they were always frightened. As she tried to explain some of the tormentful behavior, and as a child, perhaps some of it is exaggerated. Nevertheless, obviously a bad situation all the way around. The show ends this particular episode with her being locked in what he called the bad room. Was it the bad room? Naughty room? The bad room. A room he used to get locked into. And he ultimately locks her in, leaves her there with the blood and the bodies of everyone else that he didn't initially kill smeared across the walls. So, shows up to his old lab, kills a couple old colleagues, waits for the arrival of one of the head honchos there so that the whole gang's all there, and essentially punishes her at the end by killing everyone that's remaining except for her and leaving her alone to die. And he's smiling at the end of the episode, covered in blood, seemingly kind of chased away some demons in his past. Perhaps releasing some weight off his shoulders, breaking the chains, like maybe he did have true power after all, and maybe releasing some inhibitions that have been with him since childhood. It's just a scary thought there that perhaps we are going to get an unchained Homelander sooner rather than later, as he's smiling at all the score at the end of the episode. Now, also we have Huey's father, who is officially going to pass, get pulled off in the hospital here, and he decides to reach out to A-Train and to try to make equal here on their back and forth transactions to the first few episodes. Not any kind of alliance, it looks like, by any means, but to make them even, he asks for A-Train to go steal a vial of V from Homelander's apartment. Apparently Homelander has all of it that we know of at this moment, and he does it. He agrees to do it. Ashley's actually in there, and she's very much got a smaller role so far in this season, as she's very much getting bullied by the Seven, pushed out of the conference meetings, and it's really Homelander and Sister Sage kind of taking things over here. But he catches her in his apartment because she was going to leave a poop in the toilet for him as a little petty way to get back at him for being an ass. And since they both caught each other, one stealing and one pooping, both punishable by death to Homelander, of course, we know that they come to some kind of possible alliance. It kind of leaves on a cliffhanger. We're not quite sure what happens. But A-Train does leave with the vial of V and gives it to Huey. Now, in between A-Train first meeting with Huey, asking him to go and grab the V, and of course, him going and doing so and meeting back up with Huey, Huey and Komodo, who went with them to meet with A-Train, are attacked by the same group of folks, the Shanghai Light, that attacked her in the first couple episodes. And we get some flashback that the woman who might be a sister or some kind of really close, maybe not blood related, but some kind of female that was close to her that she had conflict with that's a part of this group. And we're still not quite sure how they play into everything, but they do have a conflict. Huey is shot. This is right after the first meeting with A-Train, and they kind of break apart. So, not quite sure what's going to come of that yet. Then once Huey receives the V, Butcher just catches him with it, and they have a little back and forth. And once Huey gets to the hospital, it kind of seems like Huey's ready to let his father go. Perhaps Butcher talked him out of using the V because of its dangers on his father, and just letting him pass and go slowly. But his mom, who's been in the background here, seemingly, we don't see it, but all of a sudden we see the blue liquid move into the IV of his father, and his eyes pop open. So it's like someone injected him with V. His mom seems to be the only one in the room. It seems like his mom probably injected him with V. So where'd she get it from? Did Huey leave it there? I didn't see her grab his vial when he was in the room, so I'm not quite sure what all happened in this. May have to watch it back, but something's going on with Huey's mom and maybe Huey's decision process. Maybe he was going to do it, maybe he wasn't. I'm sure that'll be a back and forth moving forward. And then what the heck is it going to do to his father? So a lot going on with the family dynamic there with Huey, mom, and dad there. Now the next segment of kind of interconnecting plots here really revolves around first the Butcher, who's he's getting worse. Collapses in the shower in the first couple scenes. Mother Milk brings him back into the fold with the boys as he's needed. So it was a pretty quick turnaround from the first couple episodes there, kicking him out, bringing him back in. He's a key piece of what they need to accomplish here. Annie meets up with Singer and says that she'll help push his anti-superpower agenda, and she will even put on the Starlight costume again and campaign and get up her supporters and support his bill to push that through if he agrees to continue to pursue Vaunt and bury them, get rid of that company. It's kind of a win-win for both of those folks. Get rid of the evil Vaunt, and for him, kind of push out these superpower folks that are, at least in this case, really using them for evil. Now, what happens here? Starlight's preparing her team. She's got her headquarters. And across the way, Sister Sage is using Firestarter right across from where Starlight's set up there, and using her to campaign against Starlight. Social media attacks, digging up old information, and Butcher tries to blackmail Firecracker to go away. Says that, of course, like everyone else here, she's got baggage, and she was fooling around with a minor back when she was a camp counselor. And rather than Firecracker give in, she decides to go ahead and let the social media get out there. And of course, she then uses that as motivation and says that she has been saved. She's found salvation to her truthers out there. And she uses that as a platform, of course, to kind of continue to push her agenda on her Truth Bomb show. That's, again, at this particular episode, set up right across the street from Starlight's headquarters and her supporters. Now, she continues on with her shenanigans and her other pieces, her other attacks. The next thing she tackles is digging up, of course, the pregnancy and then abortion that Starlight had. And that gets Starlight all fired up. And she goes into a rage, flies over and beats the shit out of Firecracker. She's eventually pulled off by Butcher. But not before everything's on camera and spread across social media. Singer does reach out to her by the end of the episode and tell her, the bill probably would have flown through, and now I can't have you on. Can't have you support it. Can't be associated with you. Anti-superpower bill cannot go through with your support. So in one episode, we get this great team up. Singer going to put his weight behind taking down Vaughn, while Starlight puts her weight behind the anti-hero bill and rallying supporters behind that. And just like that, at the end of the episode, that is dead, at least for now, that team up between Singer and Annie. Now, there's a scene in here as well where Frenchie is digging through Firecracker's trailer that she has parked outside while she's doing these events, her private trailer. He gets in a fight with one of her people there with super stretchy arms, kind of like a Mr. Fantastic from the Fantastic Four there. And he has a tough time. He gets the shit beat out of him. He seems to be okay by the end of the episode. But Butcher goes in to fight this guy, and as he's getting choked out, he passes out, but he wakes up, and this guy's like exploded, and he's dead, and his body's all over the place, and they're not quite sure what happened. And Butcher doesn't know what happened, what power he's got, like what's going on. So that's a new mystery we have to solve. He's still seeing his wife. She's still popping up. For now, still hallucinations. Probably still hallucinations. But that's another thing to keep an eye on. Sister Sage, kind of a backseat character in this one. But we do revisit her and Deep's relationship, who is also a backseat character. We revisit their rendezvous from the last episode. She initially pushes him off when he solicits her at one point. And by the end of the episode, we do have her stating that she likes to basically dumb herself down sometimes to kind of zone out more or less. And her brain, her super smart brain, smartest person in the world brain, regenerates. So what she does is she takes this metal rod that we saw in episode 1, she jams it through her eye, not through her eyeball, but through her, she gets through her skull that way, and busts her brain for a few hours to kind of dumb herself down, to kind of give herself a break, and then lets her brain slowly regenerate itself back up. So she asks him to do that. We see it in graphic detail, and they sleep together again. And I think that about wraps up what we got going on. So we've got new stuff going on with Huey's father. What's happening there? What's going to be the relationship with all the family dynamic going on there? The unfortunate torment that Starlight's going through, the emotion that she had revisiting the pregnancy, and the political climate that these characters have to manage sometimes too. The torment that she's now being dragged through the news that she's got to deal with. That's kind of a unique take on this property in this show. No Victoria Newman in this one, except from a brief TV appearance, TV in the TV. She was not a character in this particular episode. We did get some more fun TV ads. It's always fun to see those. We do see the Valkadin 4 mentioned in this as a, check out this documentary, the Valkadalian 4 disappearance, discover the truth kind of thing on one of the TV ads. So it's fun to see that continuing to link in this TV series. And okay episode. Not going to be one of the best of the series, but that's fine. We got Homelander continuing to ramp up. Weird Butcher stuff going on. Weird Huey father stuff going on. Starlight getting more stressed out. Like what we're doing. Still not sure what's going on with Kimoto. I always say her name wrong. Kimoko. But we'll probably be digging into her a little bit more next episode, I'd imagine, as we're rotating different characters in and out of the spotlight. So looking forward to episode 5 of The Boys. Last of all, I wanted to mention on michaelwelch.com, I've been doing some cleaning in my parents' basement. Recently found a couple 8-tracks of my dad's old party playlists. Attended Michigan State for several years and was the head of a lot of parties, putting them together, putting the dance tracks together, stuff that got people moving. And we found a couple of the old tracks, 8-tracks from 50, close to 60 years ago at this point, 55 years ago, something like that. 70s, certainly. And he has the tracks labeled A, B, C, D. A were the top songs that you wanted to play multiple times during the night, all the way down to D, which you played a little bit more sparingly. We got Elton John, we got the Doobie Brothers, we've got Eagles, we've got Beach Boys, we got all the good stuff of the 70s, the early 70s. I placed this around 74, 75, somewhere in there. I have to check with my dad a little bit more on that. But I was able to recreate the playlists that he had jotted down on these 8 tracks, put them up on YouTube and Spotify, and just put a little blurb up on my website here, so you can go and listen to those if you are interested. Nerds Herds was his nickname back in the day, as a nerd doing some herding. College professor at an early age, going to school, and then 19 years old, also asked to do some assistance with curriculum, and taught for a very, very long time and enjoyed it, but also had some fun partying. So playlists from the 70s of my father are up. A couple fun things in there, so check it out if you're interested. Thank you very much for tuning in today. I will chat with you later. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
All my blessings, 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 all my blessings.
I need my blessings every penny. Daily counting every single one, I'm seeing plenty. Level up and watch that beat turn into a